What's up, guys? It's Danny with the Truth in Plain Sight. The only way we can know it's truth is if we open up God's Word and we see it for ourselves. Got a little something different for you today. Most people walk around with your heads down in your phone, whatever other things that strikes our attention and switches our focus off of God and His creation and all the things that's being done right in our face. Used to, they tried to hide these things, but today they're just up front. They're out in the open and letting us know. So I had a suspicion that frequencies affect these chemicals that they spray out of these planes in the air. Those are called chemtrails. A lot of people say, no, that's condensation. It doesn't work like that up there, and they have actually come out and said this is barium, aluminum, and strontium that is being atomized in our atmosphere to supposedly block out the sun to prevent global warming. And I say that with air quotes. Our Bible says the seasons will go on until Jesus returns. But I got a little something. I stopped and I seen some curious clouds, so I stopped and did a little video, just a few seconds of it. But when I got home, I did some more digging, so I want to show you guys what I found. So when you're looking at the clouds, pay attention to the patterns that's in the clouds. And then I'm going to show you some stuff after that and see if you can pick out some patterns that resemble each other. So check this out. Alright, this is what I was talking about. Different patterns from the frequencies. You got these patterns over here. And of course you see, I got that pattern right there. But if you look right there, over there,
the speaker dish experiment, we taped a petri dish to the speaker, filled it with vodka, and we vibrate the dish with various tones.
So the testing for the speaker dish was very similar to the Chladni plate, in so much as we were testing the frequencies that we put into the speaker dish and matching that with different camera settings. But there was a third element. Unlike the Chladni plate, which uses sand, we could pretty much put any liquid into the speaker dish. And what we found was that frozen vodka, for whatever reason, was a little thicker and moves a little bit slower than water. So then we tried a number of different frequencies with the speaker and a number of different camera settings to see what created the best frozen wave.
It looks like behind the scenes. So water is vibrating to a low frequency sound wave and sitting on top of a modified speaker. And the color is from colored lights that shine down over the water's surface. So I hope this gives a little bit more context, and let me know if you have any questions.
Still 30 hertz. Actually, it's 29 hertz, I'm sorry. That's 30 hertz right there. I think it's going to bounce around too much. It's 35 hertz. You can see the colors, the pink and the green, that's from the bubble itself. It's moving really fast. 36 hertz. .37 hertz. .38 hertz. .38 and 37 show really well. .56. 57. Stop bouncing.
For weeks now, some strange sounds have been echoing through several local neighborhoods. People are losing sleep, and neighbors can't quite pinpoint the source. Local 12's Marella Porter is live tonight in Northside with what they are hearing and the frustration this is causing. Hey, Marella.
People are hearing in Northside, Clifton, and Camp Washington is unusual.
With a lot of that city noise, a lot of it becomes pretty regular and you get pretty used to it. So when something like this that's pretty foreign, it kind of stands out to you.
This sound is keeping people up at night. Brendan Markham says last night was the loudest it's been in Northside.
It almost didn't stop for a couple hours.
The duration varies from a few seconds to several minutes, and it's difficult to describe.
Say about these noises? Well, my bad. They say this.
What the f?
Having it at night and day sort of rules out a lot of industrial or construction sites because not all of those have people operating 24 hours. And also there's been no new shipment of tools, there's been no new tool created that emits a noise like this. And that's really all I can think of is an enormous machine that would be causing this noise. But there's nothing. And what's important to note on that note is that these cases in Ohio, as we referenced, are not the only ones, as we shall see, but are more importantly, not the first by a long shot. The noises appear, to the best of my knowledge and investigation, to be a literally global phenomena. They've been heard in Sweden, Finland, Russia, Slovakia, South America, all over North America, as we can tell. In almost every state, when you start researching, they've been heard in Canada, they've been heard in Australia. There is actually no lack of examples of this phenomena. At this point, you might think I'm crazy, but I'm gonna keep playing clips for you guys throughout this, just so you know I'm not making this up.
Strange sounds are being heard around the world. In Sweden, this sure sounds like a trumpet. In Michigan, another trumpet-like sound. In British Columbia, Canada, Dr. Glenn McPherson says he heard a strange humming sound in his home.
But you would expect that if you have a global phenomena of weird noises being emitted from the skies with no source, sometimes literally in the forest in the middle of nowhere, you would think they'd be investigating it, but nothing. As far as I can tell, there's been no official investigation into what these are now being known as sky trumpets are. And that's alarming in and of itself. But as we are going to see, this is just one variation of this noise, this sort of loud trumpet or horn-like sky noise. Because what people have begun to report is that it's not just in the sky, they can feel and hear these noises coming from the ground. And that's weird and creepy. And for instance, when people report this ground noise, they say that it's enough to shake their house, that they can feel it beneath their feet, and that there's like almost a tone to it. Same as the horn, but in a way that doesn't sound like it's the earth moving or like an earthquake, like there's something beneath them.
So yeah, there's so much that's going on in the world today. And like I said, the devil has people focusing on so many things that really shouldn't matter in life. So all the things that they tell us technology-wise that they have now has been out for years and years and years. It's just been kept secret. Why? Why is all this stuff important? Well, check this out.
This right here is why.
For the new world order.
Did the U.S. military deploy a secret sonic weapon during the raid in Venezuela? According to witnesses on the ground, the operation began with an unexplained radar blackout, followed massive drone swarm and the sounds of helicopters. Despite being outnumbered 5-1, the small U.S. Special Forces team faced less resistance. Why? Reports indicate soldiers suffered from vertigo, vomiting, and internal bleeding. Military analysts believe this was a soft kill operation, likely utilizing a high-power microwave device. More detail all in the video ahead. Based on witness testimony, here's how the event likely occurred. Venezuelan soldiers were on standard guard duty when their radar system suddenly shut down without warning. Immediately after the blackout, a massive drone swarm appeared over the facility, followed by 8 helicopters equipped with unidentified technology. A 20-man team of Delta and Special Forces operatives deployed from the helicopters. The encounter took a mysterious turn when the defending force of 100 soldiers reportedly froze, leaving them unable to compete with a smaller elite team. Witnesses noted that the Delta Force operatives fired with impossible precision, estimating a rate of fire near 300 rounds per minute per soldier. It is theorized that Black Hawk helicopters were used to deploy this capability, utilizing disc-shaped radar attachments to launch a directed beam at the opposing troops. They reported internal trauma. They suffered immediate vestibular incapacitation, meaning a total loss of balance and paralysis. Some even reported bleeding from the nose and vomiting blood, symptoms consistent with internal hemorrhaging. While the Pentagon hasn't officially disclosed the specific hardware, military experts often call this a soft kill system. So how does it actually work? To understand the weapon, you first have to look at what it did. The most likely candidate for a weapon that creates that kind of internal pressure without external sound is a high-power microwave device. It relies on something called the Frey effect. The weapon, probably carried by a Chinook or a Black Hawk helicopter, fires a focused beam of pulsed microwave energy, not sound waves, that passes right through the skull. These beams are absorbed by the water in the brain tissue and the fluid in the inner ear. Energy causes a minuscule rapid heating of the tissue, less than 1 degree Celsius. But that tiny sudden expansion generates a pressure wave inside the skull. The consequence? The target hears a sound, clicks, buzzing, or a roar that originates inside their own head, bypassing the eardrums entirely. If the frequency is tuned to the resonance of the inner ear, it violently disrupts the body's balance, causing immediate vertigo. At higher power levels, that rapid tissue expansion can rupture capillaries, leading to the reported nosebleeds and internal trauma. There is another possibility, a weaponized infrasonic pulse emitter. Instead of a continuous beam, this device would fire high-intensity slugs of low-frequency air pressure below 20 Hz. These waves travel through the body to match the resonant frequency of internal organs like the stomach or lungs. High-intensity infrasound can actually cause cavitation, the formation of bubbles in bodily fluids. When those bubbles collapse, they create tiny shockwaves that damage tissue. The target feels an intense vibration in their gut, leading to severe nausea and effectively paralyzing them with pain and sickness. Tactically, the reports suggest U.S. forces use this technology as the ultimate force multiplier. The result was that the hundreds of Venezuelan guards mentioned in the reports weren't fought in a traditional gun battle. They were incapacitated, sick, dizzy, and bleeding, long before U.S. troops made contact. This allowed a small team of approximately 20 operators to walk virtually unopposed through a much larger force. But that's not it. The U.S. military has another secret weapon. Analysts called it the Iron Dome of the Caribbean. They said the airspace over Venezuela was impenetrable, locked down by the Russian-made S-300 anti-system, a beast capable of swatting aircraft out of the sky from 150 miles away. But in the dark night, the myth of invincibility didn't just crack, it evaporated. The opening salvo didn't come from pilots, but from physics. The U.S. Gerald R. Ford, stationed off the coast, unleashed a barrage of electronic warfare so dense it didn't just jam the Venezuelan radar screens, it burned them white. The S-300 operators at Captain Manuel Rios Air Base were blind before they ever saw the missiles coming. The first kinetic strikes were surgical from a destroyer. 2 Tomahawk cruise missiles slammed into the S-300V at radar arrays. In an instant, the eyes of the Venezuelan defense network were turned into twisted, red-hot scrap metal. Precision-guided bombs walked down the flight line. One by one, the Su-30s and the aging X-16s parked beside them were engulfed in fireballs. 7 jets were erased before their pilots could even reach the ladders. It wasn't a dogfight, it was an execution. But the final blow was psychological. At 4:20, the roar of jet engines shook the windows of downtown Caracas. The target was Fort Tuna, the headquarters of the Ministry of Defense and the nerve center of the regime's military command. The strikes didn't level the city, they decapitated the leadership's ability to communicate. As smoke billowed from the ministry buildings, the message was clear to every commander on the ground: you are alone. You are alone and that no help is coming. But all of this is just a deception. The main target is none other than the president. We finally have the declassified timeline of how U.S. forces breached the heart of Caracas and extracted Nicolás Maduro. Let's start with step 1. The setup. This didn't happen overnight. For months, the U.S. had been tightening a naval quarantine around Venezuela. The U.S. Gerald R. Ford Carrier Strike Group and the U.S. Iwo Jima Amphibious Ready Group were parked off the coast. The pretext was clear. The U.S. designated the Venezuelan government a narco-terrorist state, specifically targeting the drugs lords, but while the Navy squeezed the coast, intelligence assets were tracking one man. They waited for a specific window, a moment where Maduro was stationary and vulnerable. Step 2, the strike. It began at exactly 2 in the morning Venezuelan Standard Time. High above, several F-35 stealth fighters punch a hole through the enemy lines, destabilizing their anti-air defenses. Like these Russian S-300 missiles located all over the strategic high-value target. With the skies cleared, the path opens for Delta Force helicopters to fly straight towards the mission. Here comes the deception as the helicopters flew. The jets started firing with more strikes as it hit Fort Tuna, the main military base and command center, and La Carlova Air Base, destabilizing Venezuelan air support. Reports from the ground describe widespread explosions and a sudden communications blackout. The chaos wasn't the goal, it was the cover. But how did the raid happen? We have to look at step 3. Under the cover of darkness and chaos, the Tier 1 operators went to work. But what is the exact unit tasked with the mission? It is the Delta Force, one of the most elite secretive special forces units in the US military. Witnesses in Caracas reported low-flying aircraft skimming the rooftops, flying well below radar coverage. The team breached a secure compound believed to be a safe house within the massive Fort Tuna complex. Resistance from the Venezuelan Presidential Guard was swift but ultimately futile, as the helicopters lay cover fire. The operators moved with surgical speed, landing on multiple points. But how exactly the capture and extraction happened? For this, let's look at step 4. Specialized helicopters hovered over the objective to insert the assault team. While dozens of attack helicopters laid down suppression fire, the Delta Special Forces descended and started the search for the high-value targets. How did they find him? Simple. The CIA had planted spy inside Nicolás Maduro close circle. While back in the US, Delta Force built an exact replica of his safe house, rehearsing the raid until they could do it blindfolded. While operators breached the room so fast, his security could not even react to the situation as the sound of flash grenades disoriented the security guard. Using blowtorch, they caught him before he could even lock all the doors. Maduro's shock and awe froze him as Delta Force breached the compound. Nicolás Maduro and his wife, Celia Flores, were physically secured. This wasn't a negotiation. They were detained.
The movement towards tokenization, decimalization is necessary. It's ironic that we see two emerging countries leading the world in decimalization, in the tokenization and digitization of their currency. That's Brazil and India. I think we need to move very rapidly to doing that. We would be reducing fees. We would do more democratization by reducing more fees if we had all investments on a tokenized platform that you could move from a tokenized money market fund to equities and bonds and back and forth. We have one common blockchain. We will, we could reduce corruption. So I would argue that yes, we have more dependencies on maybe one blockchain, which we could all talk about.
Well, folks, so 3 days ago, I did a video explaining to you that the United States military deployed a weapon against Venezuela. Now, a lot of people are like, Venezuela was a psyop. It wasn't real. Venezuela was not a psyop. It was completely real, and it was to prove a point. A, that the president of the United States can not only take over another country, abduct their president, fly away without any of our troops getting hurt, and hurting all of their troops with a mysterious weapon, and stealing their oil, and bragging about it, and posting on his Wikipedia page that he's the president of the United States and of Venezuela. Well, it turns out that I wasn't the only one saying that, and it's no longer a theory whatsoever at all, because President Donald J. Trump literally said this at Davos the other day when he was going out there on Air Force One, and for some reason Air Force One had to turn back around and come back into land because there was some sort of issues that the mainstream media didn't bother to cover. But when Trump got to Davos, he meant business, and he explained exactly what I was telling you about.
Should be grateful to us. Canada lives because of the United States. Remember that, Mark, the next time you make your statements. I realize that without us, it's not Switzerland anymore. Without us, it's not any of the countries that are represented here. And we want to work with the countries. We want to work with them. We're not looking to destroy them. 2 weeks ago, they saw weapons that nobody ever heard of. They weren't able to fire one shot at us. They said, what happened? Everything was discombobulated. They said, we've got them in our sights. Press the trigger, and nothing happened. No anti-aircraft missiles went up. There was one that went up about 30 feet and crashed down right next to the people that sent it. They said, what the hell is going on? Those defensive systems were made by Russia and by China. So they're going to go back to the drawing boards, I guess.
So yeah, Trump is right out there straight up admitting that they have the weapon that I've been telling you for years and years and years that they have.
Now I know that there's a lot of you that thinks that Trump is this great dude. And if you still believe that there is a right and a left, then you still don't get it. It's all the same people. And then there's people behind those people that are pulling the strings. It's always been that way. You know, you hear people talking about democracy. The United States is a democracy. This is not supposed to be a democracy. The United States is supposed to be a republic. You look over there, that's called the People's Republic of China. Well, that's not even a republic or a democracy. That's communist. And then we are a republic and calling ourselves a democracy. What's the difference between a republic and a democracy? A democracy is you put people in office and they make decisions for you, and what you say does not matter. In a republic, we put people in office, they listen to what we say, they get our input, and they make decisions based off of what the people think. But that's not how things are done these days. Now, you Bible readers should pick up on some things. I'm not saying Trump is the AC. I'm not saying that his son-in-law is the AC. But if you go and you read Revelation chapter 6 and that first few verses right there, that white horse where he's going forth conquering and to conquer, it sure looks like seals is being broken. I'm not saying that's what it is. But you go read the gospel accounts in Matthew chapter 24, all the things that's leading up, and it's going to be business as usual for everybody. And even the elect, those who are saved, can be deceived if you are not awake. I'm not calling it woke. I don't believe in all this woke stuff. The event that we're told in Matthew chapter 24 to look for is the abomination of desolation. That's when we'll know where we are in time. Now, there's going to be some hard things that's going to come right before that. And I know a lot of people think that we're not going to have to suffer the persecutions that we see all over the world where people are being killed for their faith. But it's coming. It's coming very soon. And look, we can be prepared to a certain extent. You know, we prepare for storms and things like that all the time. I mean, who's to say that this storm that's coming down doesn't have something to do with their frequencies, their data centers, the Doppler systems, and all this stuff that's putting stuff in the air, all these different frequencies and stuff. I mean, look at the weather. The weather's gotten a lot worse over the past decade. So it's a lot to consider. I don't think that we'll know the full story on this side, but as we learn things, we should be able to apply them to our lives, and we should be able to try to wake as many people up and share the truth, even if it sounds crazy. And I know that I got, people that I've worked with, people I've gone to church with, people's going to call me crazy, and that's fine, but you cannot discredit these facts that's shown. You heard Trump say it from out of his own mouth. I mean, he went to another country and stole the president. Aren't there international laws against that? And then people's just giving him all kind of praise. He was standing up on the stage and bragging about he took how many millions of dollars in oil in one day? Come on, people. But there's a whole lot more to the story than they're even going to let you know. That's just part of the PSYOP, part of it. Problem, action, solution. They're programming us. They're programming us to be a certain way, to react a certain way, so they can provide this particular solution that they want. And that's going to be this one world government. And this frequencies and stuff that they're using, they're spraying these chemtrails and stuff in the sky. That's just a small part of it. That's just a small part of it. But it's coming, and you better be ready. If you don't know Jesus, trust in Him today while you have an opportunity. I hope you all have a great day. I love you, and God bless.